Hello children, today we are going to start Unit 2 of the book 1 First Flight, that is the book of English literature First Flight Unit 2, and in that we have to read about a famous personality. And who is that? Nelson Mandela. And before you read, the name of chapter is Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. Before you read, apartheid is a word you must have heard. Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. If a system that discriminates people on the basis of race or color, that is called apartheid. Apartheid is a curse on human society. Can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? United States of America, South Africa, and Australia. Answer is obvious, South Africa. We will read about Nelson Mandela, who belonged to South Africa, and he's very historically, he's a legend. Have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Mandela and his African National Congress, this was the name of his party, spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison. 30 years in prison. This is such a long punishment given to a person, a political leader. Finally, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994. It is not a long history. 1994. And Mandela became, in 1994, Mandela became the first black president. Black president means the president whose color was black. He became the first black president of a new nation. He wrote history. Now we will read this chapter. This chapter is an extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. Mandela speaks about the historical occasion, the inauguration. Inauguration means here in India we say sword-in ceremony, and in European country it is called inauguration of the president. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Check your guess with the news item from BBC of 10th May 1994. So this news item is given before you start the chapter. Chapter is a part of autobiography written by Nelson Mandela. So what was the news? Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. This was the heading of the news. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. Miss 3 centuries. After 300 years of rule, of white rule, Mr. Mandela became the first president, black president. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress Party won 252 of 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Building Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his inaugural address. Jubilant scenes on the street of Pretoria followed the ceremony, with blacks, whites, and colored celebrating together. More than 1 lakh South African men, women, and children of all races sang and danced with joy. So, in this way, we will see, we will experience a change that took place in 1994. There is an important saying, it always seems impossible until it is done. It was an impossible work which was made possible by Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was born on 18th July 1918, the first black president. And he says that he had to experience long walk of freedom. And in this extracts, in this description of inauguration ceremony, citation, his speech, it is written here, his journey of being a freedom fighter, the struggle along with the tribute to other freedom fighters and countless other people who fought for their freedom. In South Africa, a brutal practice that was apartheid. Apartheid refers to the discrimination between people to people on the basis of race. It was one of the most brutal societies where dark-skinned people were deprived of their basic rights. In South Africa, black people were not given their basic rights. On the basis of race, they were called skinned people or dark people, and they were deprived of their basic rights. The lesson gives us an overview as to how Nelson Mandela, along with others, fought for the freedom, and the society became free of this curse of discrimination on the basis of color, caste, race, age or gender. Any kind of discrimination cannot be justified. So by reading the story of Nelson Mandela, it is written in his autobiography, and when we will start in detail, we will really enjoy this. So this was the introduction of the chapter. We will read in detail in our next videos. Thank you.